Good morning, doctor. I am Ganiming. So today I'll be presenting program 1 from part 1C. So today this program is to get the input from the user, which is the side length of two hexagon. And then after that, we get the result of the sum of the parameter and output the total parameter. So before demoing the code, let's start with the explanation of this code. So here we have include a win32.inc, and then next we have the data part. So data part we have defined multiple messages. So first we have two prompts which get the input from the user. First is the side length of hexagon 1, and the second one is the side length of hexagon 2. And then this message result is the output for the result of parameter hexagon 1 and 2. This MSG TOT is the total parameter of the sum of hexagon 1 and 2. So next, we have this side hex 1 and side hex 2, which it holds the input from the user, which is the input hexagon 1 and 2. And then we have the parameter of hexagon 1 and 2. And lastly, we have the total parameter. So fifth of it is defined using double word. So now we continue with the code part. So start with the main proc. And we have this segment of code which get the prompt 1 and move it into EDX. And then we call the write string, which print the text at the address store in EDX. So this write string will print the output, which is input hexagon 1. So now we move EAX into the site hex 1, which is the input from the user, and store it in this site hex 1. So next we will have the looping part of the hexagon 1. So EAX will be the sum value of the hexagon 1, and ECX will be value 6, which the code will loop 6 times. So now we enter the loop. So in this loop, we will add the value of site hex 1 6 times into EAX. So we will loop 1, and then the final value EAX will be stored into the parameter hexagon 1. So next we have prompt 2, which is the prompt of input hexagon 2 side length, and we move the value into EDX, and then we call write string, which output the messages, and then we call read, which read the value from the user input, and then the value of the user input EAX will be stored into the site hex 2. So now we move to the looping part, which will be the same. The hexagon 2 will be looped. So the EAX will be the value of the sum. So entering the loop, so the value of site hex 2 will be looped add into this EAX. And then we move the value of EAX into this parameter hexagon 2. So now moving into this part of coding, so we will add the value of parameter of hexagon 1 and hexagon 2. So we will move the value of both of these to EAX. So, and then we move the value of the sum into this total parameter. So now moving into the display output part. So first we will prompt the message MSGRAS by using it into the EDX register and call it by using write string. So the message result of parameter hexagon 1 and 2 will be outputted. So next we will output the parameter of hexagon 1 by moving it into EAX, and then we call the write DEC. and then enter. And also same for parameter of hexagon 2, we'll move the value into EAX and then call the write DEC and then enter. So last we will have the prompt of MSG which is the total parameter of the hexagon 1 and 2. So this message will be total parameter of hexagon 1 and 2, and the message will be moved into EDX, and then we call write string, and then we move the value of total parameter into EAX, and then we call write DC to output the value, and then we enter. So last we exit the main program, and that's all the code. So now we will try to run the code. So now first we will see the code to form the input from the user, which is the side length of hexagon 1. Let's try a value of 5. And then we will need to enter the value for hexagon 2. Let's try 8. So it will result the value of parameter hexagon 1 and 2. So 30 is get by looping 6 times of the sum of 5. So 5 times 6 will be 30. And then 48 will also get by the value of 8 by looping 6 times, which is 8 times 6, 48. And then it will from the value of the total parameter of hexagon 1 and 2, which is the sum of 30 and 48. And the final value will be 78. So that's all from me. Thank you.